Good afternoon. Hope you guys are doing extremely well. Had a little bit of a late start today. Hopefully you guys had an opportunity to join Habib and Tracy on the Twitch stream. They are absolutely not just entertaining, but informative. So if you guys have an opportunity to tune in and catch them a few days a week, epic. All right, so what I'm going to do today is we're going to make a switch to some gel application. Been doing acrylic for a while. Want to be able to focus on hard gel. Want to be able to show you guys some structure, some fundamental work, so that if you guys are applying this to your daily services, you're going to know exactly what to do so that you guys can crush these services if you have clients that are obviously asking for them. So let's get right into this. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that, hold on, let me just go ahead and clear this. I feel this is a little bit, there we go. Sorry about that. I thought it was a little bit, little foggy. We're gonna go ahead and prepare the nail exactly the same way as we prepare an acrylic nail, right? So we're gonna go through the whole entire process of pushing back the cuticles, and you're gonna take your arbor band in a very low speed, 3,000 RPMs. What we're going to do is we're going to gently remove shine around the perimeter of the nail, okay? So what I'm going to do is you'll notice that I'm using an overgrip position, and then I could lightly feather around the cuticle area and just feather from corner to corner. Boom. So you could see, you're going to see how I'm going to be able to come around the perimeter, lightly feather from corner to corner, and that's going to remove the shine thoroughly from the surface of the nail. Then once I'm done doing that, what I can do is I could take a little bit of swipe, and then I could use that to kind of clean off all of the residue that's going to prepare the surface for protein bond application. It's going to remove all the oils and dust and contaminants from the surface. It's going to dehydrate the nail, and then this is what you're going to be using to create the bond, right? So we're going to apply 2 coats of protein bond. You're going to go through all 10 nails, and then you're going to go back and you're going to apply the second coat. Okay, so when it comes to doing gels successfully, what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to apply the base coat with some really even pressure, right? So what I'm going to end up doing is taking base gel. I have a 2-ounce jar here, and I want to show you what we're going to do in order to get some really tight application from cuticle to free edge. Let me grab some wipes really fast. Sorry about that, you guys. All right, so what I like to do as well is you can work off a tile to kind of clean your brush, but if you use just a gentle wipe, especially if one of your gel brushes is already stiff, what we could use this for is just to kind of cleanse away any stiff material that's in your brush. And then you'll notice when I actually pick up the gel, I'm going to pull through. It's going to get a nice little tail. Let me get in tight so that you guys can see. If I pull through and I get a tail and I tap that off, it's going to leave gel on one side of the brush. And what I'm going to be able to do with this is I'm going to be able to kind of press, right? You see that little bulge, that kind of a tooth I've created there. I'm going to get the tip of my brush, and I'm going to stay behind that, and I'm going to be using that just to guide a nice healthy amount from cuticle to free edge. But what I'm really doing is creating an anchor for the gel, right? So not only am I creating a nice even structure from cuticle to free edge, I'm kind of creating this thin kind of wall that goes all the way around the perimeter of the nail. Right? You could do that to all 5 fingers. I totally recommend starting with pinky first and working to thumb, and then we're going to go directly inside the light. Okay, so that you don't have to worry about freezing when you're doing this, right? Because it's such a thin layer, you're going to go inside the light directly, and you're going to set this inside the light while you're working on the other hand. That's really, really important to know. You're not just going to be waiting. You're going to be rotating hands while you're working, okay? Now, what we want to be able to do after 30 seconds, because it's going to take you at least that. I wouldn't count the 30. I would just wait till you're done applying it to the other hand before you actually go. At this point, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and set up the forms. I like to do the base first. That way the forms don't get in the way. And then, what I would love for all of you guys to do, especially if you're just getting on the gel wagon, right, is to learn how to do some active length nails. So what we're going to do is we're going to take concealer pink in the tube. And what I'm going to show you how to do, once we put the form on, we could go ahead and kind of squeeze on a really nice healthy amount right here at the tip. And then I could use a little bit of pressure and just kind of squeeze out a nice amount that I want to the desired length that I'm going to be working with. It doesn't have to be super long. You don't have to make it perfect. You could go ahead and obviously take the tip of your brush, and then if you wanted just to kind of guide this into perfection from side to side, you could choose to do that. But what I'm going to do is just pick out to something I'd say active length, right? And you could see how it's flush to the nail. I wouldn't worry about the sides right here if they're not connected, right? Look, you could always take the tip of your brush and just kind of guide it, right? You can see how I can get it really, really close by just guiding it up into the corner. And the same thing, since we're building a nice thin tip, what we're going to do is we're going to get it inside the light, and I don't have to keep it in for the full minute. I could work on the other hand. The product is not going to run all over the place, and you're not going to feel any heat. Since I'm only building the right amount onto the tip, right, a thin free edge, we're not going to feel any type of nuclear effect going on the nail. And you'll notice even after 20 seconds, what I could do is I could take the wand and then I can slide it just right underneath the edge. I could slide underneath the edge, and then as you can see, I have a nice tip that's built out onto the nail. It doesn't have to be like, I could tell that this is slightly off to the side, but I'm not going to be creating that length. I'm going to be shortening out about that side. I'm going to be bringing it down, but the very, very front is only going to be about that long. So I have a little bit more of an extension than I actually wanted. Now, when I'm building the body to create the right body so it's not too thick, one of the things I like to do, not too thick and obviously leading to something that's going to burn, what I want to be able to do is I'll squeeze out a nice healthy amount, literally around the perimeter of the nail, and then I'll just continue squeezing a nice thin amount, and I'm focusing really on the edges. Right, you notice how I'm literally bringing this down and then focusing my attention on trying to get the product really tight around the perimeter of the nail as I continue squeezing all the way down to the very, very front. Now, the whole object of doing this is to create structure around the perimeter of the nail. The biggest mistake that a lot of beginners make when they're working with gel, right, is that they end up trying to create this really big upper arch through here. They're not focused on creating structure around the cuticle area and the growth channels. That is important. The reason why is because once you're done curing it out, you have to remember that this gel file is like butter. So I'm not really interested in trying to create this crazy upper arch right now. What I'm really trying to do is make sure that I secure the perimeter. And gel's not going to lift because, again, it's in that perfect consistency, that nice self-leveling consistency. I've built kind of a thin structure. Now, what I'm going to do, right, since I'm working with the gel in the tube, there is a function on the light, and it's called the low heat power mode. So I'm going to go ahead and touch that, and then I'm going to go inside the light direct, right? sorry, this is really important because you have to remember, if you build something massive and you stick it inside the light, the reason why it creates a thermal reaction is because gel cures like this, super fast. If you create a thin structure and you're using the low heat mode, then what it's going to do is it's going to set a little bit slower and it's going to reduce that thermal reaction. It's still going to cure fast, but it's not like you have a large amount of product that's curing at the same exact time. What I'm doing is I'm curing out the foundation layer. And the good thing about curing out the foundation layer is you could work fast. You could do multiple fingers at a time. I don't have to worry about building one thick acrylic style nail. I can work on building different foundations, and then I can work on the other hand, right? So you're working and you're rotating as you're working, creating foundation. Once I'm done curing out foundation, then I can go back and finish out the upper arch. Let me show you how we're going to do that, right? So once we actually have that set, we go ahead and switch this out, okay? So here, what I'm going to do is I don't need to add product right to this point right here. I need to start from here and build it out to this point. This is done. The perimeter of the nail is done. So if I'm coming through and I'm just going to kind of squeeze out a nice healthy amount, I can continue working. And some of you are probably thinking, well, Greg, isn't that going to get warm? Here's the thing. If I've already structured a foundation layer and I'm building gel upon gel, that foundation layer is going to act like a barrier. And I'm being very light-handed. For those of you guys who have taken gel classes with me in the past, it's all about floating, right? So once I actually create that structure, one of the things you can do, right, to kind of eliminate the edges is you can take your brush and I could just kind of feather this around the edges. You can see from the side that a lot of it is built up. One of the things you could do is you can just kind of touch the surface. But I've had students ask me in the past, can you turn it upside down? And the answer is yes, you can. Let gravity allow that to kind of pull that into place, right? So that we have a fantastic structure. You can see I'm being very, very light-handed through the surface. And then once that is done, then, we've created the structure that we wanted to achieve from the very beginning, and I need to make sure that I cure it fully at 60 seconds, right? And that's going to cure all the way through from top to bottom. There are other methods to eliminate the heat transfer. You'll notice in front of the light, if I didn't have the customer's hand all the way in, inside the light, I could keep it in front of the light and then allowing just the reflection of the light to actually freeze it into place. It's a little bit slower process, but then for those individuals who are very, very sensitive to the way that gels cure, this is a fantastic way for you to kind of preset the gel before you're actually putting it inside the light. It's called freezing. For those of you guys, again, that are new to gel, this is what I totally recommend before you start. You also have to build it upon yourself. You want to be able to practice the overlays. You want to be able to apply it on your own finger. You want to be able to test the sensitivity in front of the light, inside the light. We do it with all the products that we develop as well. I do it on myself because I want to be able to feel what the customer feels. So, for those of you guys that are starting, that's exactly what you want to be able to do. 1 minute is long enough. Since I did pull it out outside the light, I'm just going to give it another 20 seconds just to make sure. Again, you have to remember that when you are working with gels, especially the hard gels, you're trying to create the same acrylic structure, but you're going to be creating a structure with the intention to file and to shape. And the gels file really, really easy, right? So once we're done, what I'm going to do is going to get my wipe. We're going to get some swipe. We're going to clean the tacky layer off of the surface, because that's, you can't just start filing it. You have to remove that dispersion layer from the surface. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my dust extractor. I'm going to get this right over the top. I'm going to fire this up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go through the same exact process. Let me go ahead and keep this out of the way so that I don't hit this while I'm filing. But I need to make sure that I'm actually really tuning up my sides to make sure they're completely even. I'm trying to go with that same type of almond structure that we created yesterday, right? With acrylic, making sure that my sidewalls are even, again, keeping it flush or flat. It's the same exact thing from the lowest point up to the edge. From the lowest point up to the edge. An easy way of doing that is turning the hand to the side, lining it up at the lowest point, and then filing up until the hand file reaches the end of the growth channel. For those of you guys that are interested, get a hold of Ray, especially with shaping. I'm going to be covering that in my shaping class on Monday. Okay, so we have a really good kind of breakdown of shape, right? It's pretty even from side to side. My sidewalls are even. Now what we have to do is just kind of take our safety bit and file everything into great form. I'm going to set my electric file around 10 or 11,000 RPMs. I'm going to use an over grit position to kind of to gauge the side and see how much I need to file. And so if it looks a little flat right here, that's not a big deal because I have a lot of bulk here on the back end. So what I'm trying to do is kind of tapering that back end, and then I have a lot of thickness here, and you can see how quickly everything changes, right? My lower arch right here can be adjusted. You can see how I line my file up right to the side so that it becomes really, really straight. Look at that, right? Much, much better. So once I shape that part of the nail, I'm going to look down the barrel. I'm going to file in one direction to get it nice and even from side to side. I'm going to file nice and even from side to side just to make sure that we have a really nice C curve all the way through. And then last but not least, what we want to be able to do is take down just a little bit of the bulk around the cuticle area. I'm not trying to take it all down. We're just refining, right, that thickness. And then, that to me is pretty done, right? Last but not least, what we're going to do is take our hand file. We're going to go around the perimeter of the nail to be able to blend it flush to the nail. And then I'm using my hand file really to kind of make sure that I take down a lot of that bulk around the edges and then file in one direction down the side. And the same thing on this side, contact going up as the hand file falls. I'm not going to spend too much time hand filing. This is really the refinement process to make sure that everything is going to be even. And you're going to notice that when I'm looking at it from here, it's like my final areas that I have to file is really the sides. I'm going to try to line this up even on this side. Client profile to get this dead even, and then I make a peace sign. I'll rest the hand file, looking down the client's cuticle area, resting it on the surface to get it super tight from side to side. And then as you can see, like, that structure is set, right? It's a full gel nail. So again, you're like, it doesn't matter, acrylic gel, you're going to be able to create the same structure. And the nice thing about doing gel is the fact that it's super easy to fill. It's super easy to rebalance. It's super soft. And look, at the end of the day, one of the greatest aspects is there's no smell. There's just no smell. It's awesome. You can see the color consistency right after I wipe it. It's beautiful. And that's what we want to be able to create. So for all of you guys out there that are looking, right, to create a canvas to work off of, hard gel is a great option. I'm going to use protein bond on the surface. And then, you know, it doesn't matter what color you choose to apply. If I was taking a gel polish, this is Violet 101. But you're going to notice again that, like, I don't have to apply a base coat. So one of the things I'm doing if I'm applying gel polish is I'll focus my attention on just trying to get it as close to the edges as I possibly, really focusing on my edges, not really my center, right? So once I actually have the edges applied, then I'm gonna go inside the light to cure that out. And the same thing with gel polish. I'm gonna go in, and then I'm literally going to make sure that it's inside the light while I'm applying it to the other hand. So it's gonna take you at least, I'd say, a minute for you to be able to complete that. You don't need to focus on trying to get it perfect or applying this really thick coat and making it look like nail polish. Focus on just trying to get really tight application around the perimeter of the nail. And then that way you can focus on, right, you can focus on getting really good detail. If for those of you guys that are really picky and you want to make it absolutely perfect, one of the things you can do is you could take a liner brush, and then you could use the liner brush after the first coat to get it really, really tight around the edges. Go ahead and freeze that. And then when you come in with your second coat of gel polish, you're going to be able to apply it and make it absolutely color perfect, right? And that's what we want to be able to create. I would set that inside the light again for a minimum of 30 seconds and hit it with the top coat. And, you know, again, creating the right shapes, it all depends on the products that you guys have, and it's all based on good technique, good fundamentals. And if you understand that, you will be doing these services very successful inside the salon. I hope this helps. I'm going to be doing a lot more gel coming up. Been spending a lot of time doing acrylic. I'm going to be focusing a lot of attention over the next week or so doing gel polish designs, gel designs, incorporating all of the techniques into obviously things that you guys could use to create money in the salon. I hope this helps. Hit me up if you guys have any questions. Look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks a million. Peace.